feeling so hopeless today. School started, and I hate my classes, and I don't even know how I feel about some of my friends anymore.
Did you hear that? Was that gunshots?
I don't know.
Oh my god.
Okay. Oh my god, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do?
Quiet, quiet, you have to listen.
We're gonna die! We're gonna die! No, we're gonna die!
Get in there.
I've been feeling really down lately. My mom's been focused on my baby sister and my little brother, and my dad's been working really hard lately. And I'm just not happy with all the stuff that's been going on around me, and I have no control over it. The other day, Kay got pulled out of school because she was cutting herself. And then Carrie's brother recently died because he overdosed on some sort of opium. And there's no one I can talk to about this because my mom and dad are unavailable, and I really only have you.
It's a delight to have you on this show. You're such an expert in so many things. I'm going to mention just a couple, and then you can add if I left out something important. 20 years in government, including as a FTC commissioner and staff director of the President's Council of Economic Advisors. Then, of course, parent groups raising creative, confident, resilient children who achieve their dreams. And please feel free to add anything else before I ask you some questions.
Well, I've done like so many crazy things in my life, including getting up at 3:30 this morning to fly back from the Galapagos. So,
Oh, wow.
so I'm going to try to be, coherent.
Okay. That must have been a marvelous trip.
Yeah, it was something I've been wanting to do for a long time.
Fabulous. All right. Can I go ahead with the first question?
Yes, please. I'm so excited to talk to you because it's really, I looked at your website and your interviews, and it's really like my favorite thing to talk about.
Oh, good. Well, of course, self-esteem lays the foundation for a child's emotional well-being. How important is that in the work you do and the way you weave it in?
So I'm so really excited to talk about this. So I interviewed 70 entrepreneurs and their families for my book, and I've talked to lots of people since then. And every entrepreneur I talked to had a passion growing up outside of school. And in every case, eventually, not always immediately, but eventually, their parents realized how great it was that their children had found something they loved, and they told their children how proud they were of their effort and work and success in that. And because they had found something they loved, they worked really hard at it. Because they worked really hard at it, they got really good at it. Because they got really good at it, they developed confidence. They learned how to fail. They learned how to pivot when things weren't going well. They learned resilience, and they learned self-esteem because they realized they could conquer things they worked hard at.
Yes, yes, that makes perfect sense, really. I really like that answer. I think it has a little bit of me in it too. We'll see if we get any time for free time. I'll tell you a little bit. But let's go on to the next question right now. How do you think we can teach resilience to children? And you've said some things already in your first answer, but particularly in the face of issues like lockdowns, school shootings, and climate change.
Right. I mean, those big sort of existential issues are obviously super hard. I think, and it's a tough question, but I think that a family just has to be there. And no matter how awful the things are in the rest of your life, and it can include, bullying or harassing or, as you say, school shootings and, lockdowns, and I mean, so many things that are problematical, but if children know growing up that their family is there for them, that their family supports them, that their family believes in them, that their family is there when there are setbacks, that their family is there when there are problems, that they can always go to their family. They're never going to be criticized for failure or for not getting something right the first time. You develop resilience and confidence when you have that kind of experience.
And I think also you learn how to get back on your horse if you temporarily fail or have a problem. That what you're saying becomes like almost a ladder that gets someone back.
Right. And I mean, something that really surprised me when I started the interviews was how many of them had serious adversity in their lives. I didn't expect that. 10% of them lost a parent before they graduated from college. I know almost nobody who lost a parent before they graduated from college. I mean, I know thousands of people and, all of my friends, all of my kids' friends, like, I know almost nobody who lost a parent that young. And so many of these super successful entrepreneurs did. And, and they had other, adversity in their lives. A parent was seriously ill. A parent lost their job. A parent lost their money. Parents had to sell their house because they couldn't afford it anymore. I mean, like really big stuff.
Right.
And they learned resilience, and they learned that, stuff happens, and it's, you get on with your life and you do the best you can. And,
Yes, and it works. It works. So let me see, next. What are some healthy coping strategies you think might help children manage anxiety and uncertainty when it does happen?
I think the most important thing is for their family not to blame them, not to criticize them, not to scold them when they fail, not to say, why didn't you get an A? Or why didn't you make that home run? It's just, what did you learn from this? What will you do differently next time? And, and if it's sort of a family adversity, just to know that the rest of the family is there for you.
Yes, yes. I know as a psychologist, having worked with a lot of families, that so often a lot of this is the style generationally. So, the father who adores his kids had a father that got a strap out and, hit him a few times. So he thinks he's gotten a lot better than the last generation. And so it's hard to help certain people understand that really the level of kindness is so important.
So important.
Yeah, yeah. Why did the women entrepreneurs you interviewed become successful?
And for the same reason that the men did.
I guess the reason this question has merit, at least in my world, is that so many women that I've seen as a therapist, seeing them, did not reach their potential. They had the potential, they were smart, a lot of them made it through college, and yet they were sucked into a family structure, of bringing up kids and having supper ready. I'm not against that, but they didn't have the extra leverage to go to their dreams.
Well, half the people in my book are women, because it was just very important to me to have a really diverse group. I would say it's the same thing, maybe their parents praised them when they got straight A's, maybe their parents praised them for looking pretty. Maybe their parents praised them for, that they got a cool guy to ask them out. I mean, do you know what I mean? It's like,
But they had the right parents, that kind of knew how to not suffocate them, is a lot of what you're saying, I think.
right. I mean, it all comes back to the parents. Like, are they saying like, you know, oh, don't spend so much time playing soccer. You're just going to get all sweaty. And, you know, you really have to, you know, join all these extracurricular activities. So, you know, you can make sure you get a good date for the homecoming and get into a good college.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So the last question I have, is what are the most important things parents can do to raise confident, happy, resilient children? And you're kind of saying that again and again. So if you want to include in that some of the work you've done with certain groups of people and stuff, feel free.
Again, I mean, I want to urge every parent to see what gives your child joy and then support them and encourage them to work at that. And I talk to parents with high school kids and they say, you know, I don't really know what my kids' passions are. And I'm just thinking, you know, you just haven't been paying attention.
Mhm.
I believe so strongly that every child is born with a gift. And I believe that that's our job as a parent to help them figure that out and then to support that and nourish that. And it's okay if it changes over time, but it's, you know, that's great. You can have one at age 10 and one at age 14 and a different one at age 18. I mean, it doesn't matter as long as it's something they chose, that they love, that they're working hard at. And it's so interesting now because I have a grandson who just turned 6. And I can see this with him, you know, I mean, we went to a dinner, a restaurant, and a group of dancers came out and were, you know, doing a dance. And after like 2 minutes, he said, this is boring, I'm going outside. And I said to his parents, like, another kid would be like, oh my God, I want to take a lesson in this. And then he sees somebody, this is in Miami, climbing up a tree and cutting down coconuts. And he's like, I want to do that.
Oh,
You know, parents have to watch. You have to see what gives your child joy. And even if it's something weird, you have to be like, that's great. Sure, let's take dancing lessons. Let's not take dancing lessons. I mean, both of our kids had a passion growing up outside of school. And it was a passion that neither my husband or I know anything about. Our older son was playing tennis and our younger son was writing music. And we don't play tennis and we don't write music. And it was only like when I started writing the book that I realized that was actually a good thing because we couldn't give them any advice. They had to figure everything out for themselves. We were supportive when they lost and when things didn't go well, and we paid for lessons or tournaments or whatever, and we were there for them, but we couldn't help them. We couldn't advise them. And, you know, it turned out to be a really good thing because it helped them develop confidence and resilience. I just had no idea at the time.
what are their main traits at this point in their lives?
Our younger son is a musician.
Uh-huh.
He has a band, Magic Giant, and I mean, he wrote 300 songs before he graduated from high school. You know,
Wow.
I mean, he was, he majored in music composition in college, and now he and his wife have just started another band called Somewhere in Between, just the two of them, like an indie folk thing. So he just writes music, produces music, that's just his life. And my older son, who still is playing tennis, and it's actually because of him that I know all these entrepreneurs. He started an organization called Summit, which is conferences of young entrepreneurs. And he was honored by the tennis center where he trained. He was the first of their graduates to be honored for what he had done off the court. And he said, everything I am today is because of tennis. Tennis is where I learned resilience and grit and hard work and determination, and, you know, how to fail and how to keep going. And as you know, as a consequence of this, the tennis center where he trained, which is training like top kids in the country, said they kind of changed the pitch to parents. It used to be, come here and you'll either get a tennis scholarship to college or you'll go on the tour. And now it's, come here because whatever you do with your life, the skills you learn when you work that hard are going to hold you in good stead.
Fabulous. Yeah. Where do you think your entrepreneur energy is sitting right now for yourself?
What do you mean? I mean,
Well, you're an entrepreneur, obviously. So are there some skills or things in life that have become bigger now? You know, like for me, writing novels has become bigger for me than some of the books that I've written around self-help in turn, so there is an evolution we go through.
right. I mean, what I'm doing now, this whole passion about, trying to get the message to parents about,
Yeah.
raising kids is completely different from anything that I ever did. I mean, I spent most of my career in international development. And, I spent 10 years
Yes. So,
at economic think tanks in Eastern Europe. I mean, I was like a very different kind of person, but just like
so
you,
you're
a different passion now.
right. You're such a perfect example that we can find different places in ourselves for our real potential to be birthed at that point in our lives. And I think you're a super example, and it probably shows up in the book you wrote also, as you encourage parents to look. And I shouldn't say, I haven't read your book, so I don't want to get it wrong, but you're helping the parents to see all the different levels of their kids.
So that's so interesting that you said that, because so I'd go to all my son's summit events and I'd meet all these young entrepreneurs. I didn't used to know people like that. And I'd say to all of them, how did you turn out the way you did? I'm just so curious. And they all said the same thing to me. They all said, I had someone who believed in me, someone who told me I could accomplish anything I set my mind to as long as I worked hard at it. And usually it was a parent, and even more usually it was their mom. And I was so struck by this, and I just kept talking about it all the time. And the kids said, you have to write a book. And I said, I can't write a book. And they said, you have to write a book. And I said, I can't write a book. And they said, you have to write a book. I said, okay, I'll write a book. And they wrote the foreword, and they said, everyone needs someone to believe in them. And sometimes that's even your kids.
Oh, that's so beautiful and so helpful. And very often that's the case. And oftentimes they know you better in certain ways than even a spouse, because it's a different relationship. Yeah. Well, our time is drawing to a close. How can people find you and read the book and whatever else they'd like to ask you?
Well, thank you. So it's the second edition. It's this pretty bold one, Raising an Entrepreneur, How to Help Your Children Achieve Their Dreams, 99 Stories from Families Who Did. And my website is raisinganentrepreneur.com. And I'm on Instagram at Margot Bisnow. And love to hear from anybody who has ideas.
Great. And I hope we'll stay in touch. It's been a
I'd love to.
delight to get to know you, and
Well, me
thank you
too.
for coming on our show about resiliency, and you're the perfect fit. So,
Because I got up at 3:30 this morning.
oh, well, have a wonderful night's sleep tonight.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Good night. I'll say good night.